Shoulder stretches are fun, but there are three main things that people aren't doing quite the right way to respect their shoulder health. So we're going to show you the three things to avoid if you're doing some shoulder stretches. The first one is to respect your shoulder capsule. Now, the shoulder capsule keeps everything in your shoulder basically in position no matter what position your shoulder is in. We don't want to overly stretch it because the shoulder joint is already the most mobile joint in the body. This is what we commonly see. We see people doing a pec stretch, but they use their hand as leverage and they are cranking into their pec stretch to give their shoulder external rotation and also what we call horizontal abduction back towards them. You might find that you feel this deep in the front of the shoulder joint. It's not a pec stretch, it might be stretching your capsule. We don't like it too much. One way to fix it is to come with your elbow as your leverage with your hand slightly more forward and you're squeezing your shoulder behind you to lengthen through the pec, not to crank on through the shoulder. Next one to be careful with is what we call a sleeper stretch. Now, a sleeper stretch is designed to increase the amount of internal rotation you have on your shoulder. The reason why we don't want to be too aggressive with this because in the clinic, we do this as a test to test out your shoulder's irritability to impingement. So it's an impingement test. So let's show you the stretch. So typically people lay on their side, their hand comes up and they're going into internal rotation. They get their other hand and they forcefully press that shoulder down to get more range. Now, doing the stretch itself is not a bad thing, but we want to make sure that your shoulder is really tucked under and you're going to where you feel resistance, not pushing beyond that resistant part. We don't want to be holding it there for any length of time either. It should be held there quite comfortable, but I don't honestly give this to people very much because we don't really seem to do it that well. So be careful if you are doing a sleeper stretch to not crank it too much. Nerves also, they don't really like stretching too much. Now, nerves are a little bit different structures to muscles. Muscles love to stretch because they have a stretch or an elongation process built into the muscle due to their fibers. Nerves, however, don't have any stretch component. The way they move is they actually slide and glide through the nervous system or through the nerve sheath. They don't actually stretch. So what we see sometimes that people like to stretch is they put themselves into a neural stretch, which is a hand back off the wall, and they pull their head off to the side. Now straight away, when I do this, I feel tension building in my hand because I'm pulling the nerve from both ends, so it hasn't got any more to give. So a way to back off from that is doing what we call nerve mobility, which is you're moving in and out of that range to promote more nerve length. You're not pulling it from both ends to aggravate that nerve. If it gets aggravated, it actually causes more tightness and tension down what you're trying to mobilize rather than you giving you relief or length.